What is going on, everyone? It's Nick from Breaking the Clutch. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And before I get into today's gameplay, I want to give a quick shout out to Josh Anderson. He's a member of the Breaking the Clutch community who produces YouTube content, and it's not gaming related. If you're interested in the field of biology, or if you're a younger person about to start college, Josh gives you an inside look. And just as a preface, he's a senior at Auburn University, which is a very good college, and he gives you an inside look at like the biology lab, and he tells you things like how to write scientific, or how he operates with a scientific notebook. He shows you some tests that he's running, and he gives you just the play-by-play on everything that he's doing. And one video that I particularly found interesting, and I actually really enjoyed it, was he's also a teaching assistant, and he gives an inside look as what a teaching assistant looks like, especially at a great college like Auburn University. So if you're about to go into college, or you're currently in college and you're interested in biology, or you're just interested in the scientific field, please check him out. He's a fantastic content creator, and even if you're not interested in it, stop by, say hello, and then let him know we sent you over that way. But away from all of that, guys, let's jump into today's gameplay, which I just played this morning, and I must apologize before I get too far into the video. I have not actually been playing a lot of Halo Wars 2, and you'll notice that we haven't been doing 1v1 analysis, stuff like that. We've been doing amongst other things in the background. So I want to get back into Halo Wars 2. I was waiting for that meta to kind of calm down from that Jerome gameplay, because it was a bit tedious and overwhelming. Is not the right word. Boring. It's just tedious and boring to have a strategy like that was super overpowered. And since then, I've taken a little break, but now we're back at it. And this is only my third placement match in 1v1s, and I think for the season, I'm looking at my Xbox right now, I'm 23-5 for the season. So like I said, I haven't played that much games. I got placed in 2s and 3s, and now I'm trying to go ahead and attack that 1s rank and make sure I get that high Onyx play. And now that we got all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into the gameplay. Now I'm opening up a Shippy. I still think that Shipmaster is well, for personal reasons, Shipmaster is my favorite. I feel at least in 1v1s, there's so many things, like you can control the map in so many different and unique ways with Shipmaster, especially again in a one-on-one scenario where the opponent doesn't have a teammate to help them out. If I simply displace their units across the map, or if I displace them on this island right here while I'm attacking a strategic position, I mean, that's just one example of what Shipmaster can do. And once I teleport them over here, I attack the base, I extract out, or I teleport myself out, so that way they can't attack my units. And you'll see a little bit of this action in later parts of this game, but I still don't know what leader can beat Shipmaster in 1v1s, especially if it pushes out to the mid game, which I consider to be that 10 to 15 minute mark, and anything past that I consider late game. But let me know down below, is there anything that can possibly beat Shipmaster when you have two equal players up against each other? Now, I'm not saying, of course, if you've got someone who's a platinum player and they're running Shipmaster, obviously there's a good chance that you'll beat them if you're an Onyx player or a gold player, or whatever it is. Like, if you're a better player, you're obviously going to be able to beat a worse player. So I'm not saying specifically, if anyone plays a Shipmaster, they're unbeatable. But I asked the question: if you go up against an even opponent and you have Shipmaster, do you have the advantage? I personally think you do. I think Shipmaster is the best leader, not only in the game, but not only in ones, but in the game as well. So that, I guess, I know I've stated that quite a lot of times, but I still stick with it. And now that the meta's kind of opened up and it's a bit more broad on what can be played, I've seen, for instance, the Jackrabbit Marine and Jerome play. I've seen choppers still being used with a skitterer action in a couple of games. In the games that we saw, that it didn't particularly work well. I'm not sure if it was the people we played or how the strategy was utilized, but I've still seen, and as you see right here, I'm going Ghost. So there's still meta's wide open. I like the fact that you can run as anyone, and I like the fact that I can go Ghost, right? With Shipmaster in the previous iterations of the game, I guess like season 1 through 3, you couldn't go Ghost. If you went Ghost, you were going to get beat on choppers for sure in the last season. Seasons 1 and 2, you were definitely getting beat by the Jackrabbits. So now that Shipmaster has the ability to go Ghost, and he can play in the early game, and you don't have to put up turrets and that other thing, like, because if you guys recall, in 1v1s in previous seasons, you had to get out quick units if you were Shipmaster to defend yourself against the opponent's scout rushes, or you would have to go shield and then triple turret as quickly as you possibly could. But now with the meta being blown wide open and the fact that you can utilize the ghosts, which I think are probably the best one-on-one scout unit, I think Shipmaster again just solidifies himself as top tier in the game. I really don't. I can't think right now as to what would beat him in a 1v1. Again, if you have two even opponents, but I could be wrong. Let me know your opinions down below, and let's jump away from that rant. You'll see that I've got an eye on what he's doing. My opponent, he's gone a bit of jackrabbits, and I'm still going to stick with these ghosts. You'll notice that I stopped producing them, and I want to keep these ghosts alive as well as I possibly can, because one of the strategies that I try to implement in my gameplays is keeping the opponent on the other side. I think you'll notice it in the gameplay we posted with hosted side. He referenced the fact that, you know, the Drome Mantis strategy, or the Mantis, well, I guess the Drome and Jackrabbit strategy was the fact that you needed to choke your opponent out, take out their power nodes, take out their expos, and keep them pushed into that corner of the map. And I think that goes across the board with every style and every leader in 1v1s. You don't want your opponent to feel like he can loosely just walk across the map, take one of your power nodes. You want to put the pressure on. So I think in the early game, one of the things that really sets, and I've seen specifically with Nakamura's gameplay, where the reverse happens, right? I'm on this side where I'm pushing my opponent and I've got them cornered, and you know, just because you've got them cornered in the early game does not give you the victory. It just puts you in a position to win. So you can still mess up. One of the videos that I was referring to earlier, I watched a video with Nakamura where he dropped, or I think he lost 3 of his bases, and he was down to no bases. He had a good army composition still, just, you know, I think he was getting displaced. Yeah, I think his opponent was Shipmaster, and I'll post a link to that video. It's a really great video, but the point is he lost all 3 of his bases. He still had a good army composition. His opponent dominated in that particular scenario, but Nakamura still picked up his bases again and rallied back and won the 1v1 game. So just because you have the early game advantage does not give you the win in any sense of the imagination. So you've got to also be very careful with the way that you proceed in these early games, because it's a game of chess, really, where you can't overcommit, you can't undercommit. You got to find that right balance right in between in order to ensure that you get that victory. And you'll see I try to double base as often as I possibly can in 1v1s, one base on their side, so that way it's it's a strategy of keeping them on their side. If they're a good player, they're going to scout their side before they push forward, and you'll notice that he obviously picked up, he saw my expo on his side, he picked it off, and it's a strategy of, I'm going to get my base up while sacrificing my other base as a decoy, and it'll also keep him on his side. So it's a double play there. I'm able to push myself give myself the advantage in the mid game. And you'll see I've got like a 3-layer strategy to my gameplays in 1v1s. Not so much in 2s and 3s, because if you play 2s and 3s, your opponent or your teammate will end up going the unit that you each have like your own specified class, right? So for instance, in 3s, at least last season, or I think early this season, like Pat would take care of air, I would take care of vehicles, Preston would take care of infantry, or you know, mix up any version of that. Pat would take care of air, I would take care of infantry, Preston would take care of vehicle. Regardless, you each have your own kind of class, so you don't really have to switch too often. There are obviously certain parts of the game where you may have to adjust your strategy, but for the most part in 2s and 3s, you really don't have to have this 3-layer strategy that I tend to implement. The first layer is the scout. Keep them on their side in the early game. You'll see I think I made maybe 11 scouts was the most I had at one point, and I didn't push his main and try to attack his main with it. He had turrets. I'm cool with that, right? If I've got 11 scouts on his side of the map and they're not exactly attacking, but they have a presence there, I'm cool with that. That's fine. That's first layer right there. I keep him pinned. I know where his units are at. I know what he's building. I've got my units on his side of the map, and they're controlling the game for me, and they're able to push me into the second layer of my strategy, which is the Banshee play. Now, I don't do this in any particular order, aside from the scout, obviously, in the beginning. You'll notice that if he would have started going Wolverines and Cyclops, maybe to slow down my early play well, so if I'm going Ghost, right, and he decides I'm going to go Infantry, and then I see a couple wolves in there or something along those lines for whatever reason, like he's trying to predict what I'm about to go, then I won't put my second layer as the Banshee play, right? I saw earlier he had a void and what he could possibly be going. He didn't have anything to counter my air, so I went Banshees, right? So that's me committing to the Banshee play. I push his secondary base immediately, and I pick off that base, which I think is an absolutely crucial thing. The quicker you can knock off that second person's expo, the better off you'll be, especially when you've got your own expo going around on your side. So the third layer, which again can be switched out with the second layer, is going to be my Locust Ranger Hunter play. As you'll see, I have an overwhelming amount of Banshees for him in the early game, and nobody wants to go up against someone with Banshees because Banshees are, I'll use my wording very carefully here, Banshees are very good, right? They're very, very strong units, and I want to make sure that my opponent, so when I go Banshees, my opponent understands the fact that he has to address that. You can't simply stick to your normal gameplay and try to just try to stick with your normal mold of infantry and Cyclops and stuff like that. You've got to directly counter that. Specifically with UNSC, you're going Wolves, you're going infantry to counter that, and I want my opponent to do that. I want to keep my Banshees alive for as long as I possibly can, because in my head I've already mentally swapped into the Hunter play, I've swapped into the Ranger play, I've swapped into the Locust play, especially with Shipmaster, and I can't stress this enough with how vital Shipmaster's abilities are for this mid to late game play. I'm so comfortable keeping my units on my side of the map while I have these Banshees as decoys moving around the map. Again, I've got him in a position where I've got him cornered to one base. I just took off a second base. He's probably building a second base up again, but I'm fine with that. He can try to build it right there. I'm picking up the third base, and that base is, again, going to be a distraction. I found that he's got a side expo right there. He's got an advanced generator on it. I'm going to knock that thing off, and then so you see how these Banshees are now, they're not being used to attack his units, because I've lost that game right there. I've lost if I attack his units with that, because I've only got I think there's like 9 or 8 Banshees in that mix. He's gone anti-infantry, or he's gone anti-air. If I were to push up my Banshees and try to attack his main with that, guess what? I'm at his home base. His units would be pumping out right in front of me, and he would probably destroy all my units. So I've got to play this very carefully. And make sure that I try to keep my Banshees alive as long as I can. And you'll see I send my Banshees to get that last second scout, and I notice on the mini map that they all die before they get to that. But at this point, I'm good. I've got my teleport ready. I've got my units coming out right now. And now, I guess the third layer, there's a few things you can do with Shipmaster. And I can't stress enough how comfortable I am with Shipmaster, and the fact that not on my ability to use him, but the abilities that Shipmaster presents. You have the ability to displace units, you have the ability to teleport, you have the ability to extract, so I'm fine. Right now, if he were to push up to my base, I would simply displace him, or I would teleport to his side and attack his main, right? So again, you've got to be comfortable with the fact that with Shipmaster, you're going to be in chaos. You're mid to late game, that's when the chaos begins. You've got to figure out where to displace units. You got to make sure that you strategically put them away from your map. Or sometimes, in certain cases, if you're comfortable enough, you can displace enemy units into your units. I recommend putting having this where a shield is. So if you're at your main base and I displace his units towards mine, because I've got the direct counter to him, I'm going to displace his units in front of my base, and I'm going to have my units attack him while in the shield, so that way that I'm good. And I wipe off his units and then teleport back to his side of the map and then finish off his base. That's a great play with Locust. That's a great play with Shipmaster. And Hunters even, they're not directly building killers, but they deal a good amount of damage to building. So I'm comfortable again with the idea of going Hunters and Locust. Where's my weakness right now? It's air. The reason I don't believe he's going air, based on not only on what I saw on his side of the map, but if I'm a UNSC player, I'm not thinking to go air when someone has gone Plasma Torpedo Banshees. Plasma Torpedo obviously going to wreck any Banshee that gets in, or any Hornet that gets in the way. So again, if I'm a UNSC player, I'm not thinking, and this is the mentality that I have in this gameplay, because I try to think out these thoughts and figure out what's the best play. I just don't see him going air. I don't think that's a viable option for him. And you'll see right there, perfect. I've got his units pushing my side, so now I'm comfortable, right? This is what I'm talking about with Shipmaster. You're good to just let the map play itself. He's moved his units. His units are slow. I'm getting my units in a position where I can teleport them across the map, so I can get that attack on. And with Jerome, one thing you got to be careful of course, is the fact that he has Enduring Salvo, I believe it is, Salvo something. regardless of what it is, it does a great amount of damage. You'll see that's one thing I got to be careful of, and I did use my teleport, so I need to make sure I use my extract next. Alright, we've pushed, right? We've committed. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the turrets, and I don't think I'm going to kill this base. When I go in and throw myself at this base, I only saw a few units on that secondary base, so I am under the impression that I'm not going to kill this base. So what is my goal here? My goal is to simply knock off as much stuff as I can, teleport out, extract out, build up for a second, and then re-push the base. Right there, I get the displace off. I could have probably launched them further, but again, time is everything. I don't want him to pick off too many units, otherwise the point of the rush it's gone at that point. And I actually might pick off this base. I can't actually remember if I do, but you'll see I've got an extra leader point. Now, what do I do with this leader point is the real question here. And I actually dropped that base, which is I didn't think I actually did that, but I go ahead and extract, or I upgrade my extract. I pick it up, and then I get as many units out of there as I can, and then I start building again, building as many units as I possibly can. I have the advantage now. I have 2 bases. He's lost his main. He's lost his secondary twice, I believe. And now I'm quite sure that he's got the secondary base that we knocked off already. He's probably building on that. It's probably upgraded to level 2 right now. So my concern isn't, oh, and this is a great play. It drops a few of his units off the map. But my concern isn't him. It's not his army composition is what I'm worried about, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I understand right now that he's got very minimal options on what he could possibly do. The fact that I'm Shipmaster and the fact that I can teleport so quickly across the map through several different options with extract and teleport, and the fact that I can displace his units, these are all things that make me more comfortable at staying at my base, right? I can operate the entire map from my base or from my side of the map. His options are right now push and try to sweep. He's got a lot of units. If he tries to play a defensive game, all I do is I sweep back in there, pick off his base, and again choke him out into the point where he can't possibly win the game. Game's in my control. I can't possibly let this slip up. And I've had actually a few games, and this happened more of season 1 and 2. I think I actually posted one of them where you get that early game, you get that mid to late game advantage where you've knocked off his base, and it was a situation like I referred to back earlier where Nakamura was actually the one who rallied back and beat the player that he played. I can't remember who it was, but I've been in that situation where you've got everything going right for you, you've knocked off his base, and then they sweep across with all their units, right? That's why Shipmaster is so crucial, and the fact that you can displace, you can give yourself that second to think. So while they're trying, because right now, obviously, like I said, he's got minimal options. He's trying to move across the map and trying to sweep me. I've got displaced, so I'm going to teleport to his side now that I know he's on the island. And I'm just going to let him try to maneuver. As soon as he gets all his units in front of my base, I'll displace him somewhere, and it gives me more time to raid his side of the map. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this gameplay, this breakdown. I haven't done one of these in quite a bit, so if I'm a little rusty, I apologize, not only with the gameplay, but also with the commentary. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below, and I will be sure to answer as many of those questions as I possibly can. And typically, if you comment on our videos, I've seen a lot of concern with this. I pay attention to the comments for, I shouldn't say I pay attention. I respond to the comments within the first hour and a half. That's that time, and then after that, I just read the comments. I sometimes respond if I see it necessary, but if you really want to get a hold of us via comments, leave that as soon as you possibly can, and then I'll try to respond to you as quickly as I can. Because as soon as I post these videos, I spend about an hour monitoring them, and then I start homework. Right, I've got classes, so I start homework. I have other projects I'm working on in the background, so I can't spend all my time staring at the comment section for responding to comments, but I do try my best, so I hope you guys understand that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.